Good evening and welcome to Newsbite. I am Damien O'Bey, and making the headlines this week, British National Audit Office releases a report about the airport, RMS visits London, Shape walks a mile to raise funds, Basil Read tracks a 48-ton excavator across Rupert's beach, and we take a look at the latest sporting results. The UK press has been writing about St Helena this week after the British National Audit Office released a report about the airport. The report talks about the business case for the airport and questions some of the projections that the British government based the decision to build the airport on. August Graham has more.
It's been just a week since Lord Ashcroft's article raised serious concerns about the state of St Helena Airport. At the time, the British press wrote about the problems that had been discovered. This was then picked up in the House of Lords on Tuesday. The Lords debated the airport for 7 minutes. It was called a shambles by one of the peers, and others took the opportunity to ask why proper reports hadn't been made into Windshire. But now a new report from the National Audit Office has questioned some of the projections that the UK government used to make a case for the airport. The Department for International Development had estimated that almost 30,000 tourists would come to the island each year by 2041. But the auditors said that this was not based on realistic figures.
Neither the department nor its consultants undertook any new primary research to underpin its assumptions. To provide context, the actual number of tourists visiting St Helena in the 10 years from 2001 and 2011 fluctuated between 750 and 1,000 tourists per year.
Instead, the National Audit Office quote an estimate produced by the Journey Tourism for Enterprise St Helena. The consultants laid out 3 different scenarios for rates of tourism growth. The most optimistic said that St Helena would get over 20,000 tourists a year within 5 years. But it is the least optimistic scenario of 2,600 tourists a year, which the National Audit Office thinks is the most likely.
The Journey Tourism concluded that while this approach may be a safe and fairly risk-free strategy, it would not achieve the objective of making St Helena self-reliant and independent.
The auditors also highlighted that there is not enough accommodation on the island, and they set out the worst-case scenario for the British government. They say that Britain might end up spending £908 million before it is able to get rid of the subsidy to St Helena. The British press picked up on the story. In the Times, Stephen Pollard complained that Britain's foreign aid spending is running out of control. Another journalist in the same newspaper said that the UK has wasted £285 million building the airport. The Guardian was forced to change its headline after it falsely claimed that the airport would be scrapped, and the Telegraph also wrote about the place where it is too windy to land.
The RMS is now on its way back to the South Atlantic and will run up until the end of September, whilst the wind shear problem on St Helena's newly built airport is being rectified. She arrived in the UK on Sunday the 5th of June and headed for Tilbury Docks, where she was unloaded before making its way up the Thames and through Tower Bridge. Crowds had gathered to watch this historic moment, with many posting minute-by-minute updates on social media sites. The RMS passed through Tower Bridge at 5 PM UK time, sounding a horn on the way through. She was then moored next to HMS Belfast, where she played host to a number of events promoting St Helena. Celebrity chef Matt Gillen had the opportunity to cook on board, and there were many guests, including Princess Anne. Basil Read tracked an excavator across Rupert's beach on Thursday to dig a test hole for the new BFI project. Plant operator Roy Robinson carried out the daunting task of tracking the 48-ton machine down from the leisure area onto the small sandy beach along the water's edge to the other side of the boom used when pumping fuel from visiting tankers. The object of the exercise was to determine the state of the earth upon which the new boom to assist with dispensing fuel will be erected. When the 3-yard bucket of the excavator began to scrape bedrock, a team from Basil Read surveyed the hole. The journey and excavation took approximately 2 hours. Upon completion, the hole was filled, and the excavator made the journey back to Rupert's Wharf. On Friday, the 3rd of June, local charity Shape held a fundraising walk called A Mile in Their Shoes. The walk started at the top of Jamestown and ended at the wharf. The aim was to highlight the problems that people with disabilities face when traveling around town, as well as taking donations on the way. Shape managed to raise over £1,000 from the event. Now, sport. In golf this week, Nick Stevens saw his handicap cut to 7 after he crushed the 28-strong field in the Sir Henry Galway Challenge Cup to win by 3 shots. Stevens shot a nat 2 under par round of 66 to clinch the title. Larry Legg shot 69 to scoop second place, and Martin Buckley finished third after a comeback with 4 other players who also shot 70. For this week, we saw 3 football matches on a Saturday and just 2 on Sunday. Young striker Cody Thomas fired home 4 goals as Wolves picked up their first points ever after defeating Crusaders 8-3 on Saturday. Wolves are playing in their second season since the team was formulated and will have been pleased to pick up their first win. Jace Williams, another young talent, bagged a brace, and Martin Joshua also got on the scoresheet. The 8th came from an own goal. Dane Wade, Ashton Benjamin and Caelan Crowley netted consolation goals for Crusaders, who are yet to earn a point. Saturday's second fixture was a closely contested one. CJ Thomas scored a brace, and former Axis players Scott Crowley and Antonio Green struck goals against their old side as Hotshots came away as 4-2 winners over Axis. Scott Henry was on the scoresheet for the second week running, and Simon Bennett converted another penalty as Axis searched for a way back into the game. In Saturday's final match, Jason George rose above and snuck under the defence to score a brace of headers as defending champions Hearts narrowly defeated Bellboys 2-0. The first goal came against the run of play. George stooped low to net home a dipping corner kick just before half-time. His second came early in the second half. This time, George lapped and powered home a header at the far post. On Sunday, Refugees and Fugees shared the points after the match finished in a 2-2 draw. The match was a hotly contested one and saw the first red card of the season issued to Tony Peters for violent conduct. Both sides cancelled each other out for the majority of the match, even after Refugees were left with 10 men. Man of the match, Darren Leo, put in a tireless performance and earned his side the penalty kick from which they equalised. Goal scorers for Fugees were Liam Young and Ashley Peters, while Philip Isaac and Sanjay Klingham netted for Refugees. The final match of the weekend saw Chop Shop Boys defeat last season's runners-up Rovers by a single goal. In a match where 3 penalty kicks were awarded, Alonso Henry was the only one who held his nerve to convert a spot kick. Rovers' Mashar Yan had his kick saved by Andrew Osborne, and Gary Benjamin struck his wide off the upright.
Oh, good tackle, boy. Oh, lucky boy.
After Week 2's fixtures, Hearts lead the league by a single goal. The defending champions and Chop Shop Boys have both amassed 6 points, but Hearts have scored a goal more. Despite their defeat to the Chop Shop Boys, Rovers sit in third. Well, that's it for another edition of Newsbite. Tune in again next week for more. I'm Damien O'Bey. Thank you all for watching.